What's going on YouTube? Reezonoticz back once again, and I'm doing kind of a part 2 video to my Wii U anticipation video, kind of, but not really. See, with the Wii U coming around the corner in less than 2 months, and mine's already pre-ordered, which I'll have the day after it launches. I can't wait for that. But with that in mind, I'm being reminded every day now of the launch of the Wii when it came out in 2006, and even launches of older consoles. The launching of a system for me is a very exciting time. It's a time that I reminisce and that I get all hyped and ready to go. I mean, once every 5 or 6 years, a new hardware generation launches with new hardware, new consoles with new capabilities. And if you're a gamer, that's something that should really excite you. And for me, it does just that. So in the spirit of that, I wanted to do a video where I show you the 3 launch games that I bought along with my Nintendo Wii on day 1 when it launched. Talk a little bit about them, the memories, a little bit of nostalgia, just a little bit of insight into each one of these titles, and also to talk about and mention some of the other games that were available at the launch of the Wii. And the reason I'm doing this, not just because of memories, is because I think that the Wii U has a very strong, very strong launch lineup waiting for the gamers on day 1. And when I think back to the Wii, I think the Wii also had a very strong lineup. A lot of third-party support right out the gates, some big-time Nintendo franchises launching, and just everything in between. If I'm not mistaken, for the Wii, there was a good 20, 30 games, I think, like on day 1 or 2 that were available, if I'm not mistaken. Something like that. At least, I think it was 15 to 20 games right out the gates available. So, in doing that, I'm going to get right to it, man. I got my Nintendo Wii on November 16th, or whenever the launch day was, 2006. I camped out for it 2.5 days. So when they finally let us in that store at an hour before it opened, I think it opened at 9, we were in there at 8. They let all the people who were getting Wii's go in there at 8. Had it, everything carved out like a line, taking you straight to the electronics department. I got at Best Buy, and I got a couple of games on that day. First game I got at that store at Best Buy, I had gotten Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, because this game looked different than every other Tony Hawk's game I had ever played. When I saw reviews of it and saw previews of it and screenshots and videos and all that, it looked extremely different. It was no longer your typical Tony Hawk game where you're trying to skate and build up your skater and your skills and do tricks and this and that. It was an actual downhill racing game, which meant a lot of speed, crazy, insane track design, and just a fun, Fast and Furious game. And when I saw the way it was controlled with the Wii remote held sideways, and you balance like that, left and right like that, it was just something new and innovative to me that I was like, wow, I've never controlled a game like this before in this manner, and it looks fun. So I got it. I had also gotten, at the same store, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, because I had X-Men Legends 2 on the GameCube, and I know that this game ran kind of the same engine, but with a lot more characters and a lot more abilities and things like that, so I said, let me get these 2. I had already pre-bought at GameStop a month or so before Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So as soon as I had gotten my Wii and these 2 games, an extra Wii remote and an extra nunchuck controller, and I was out the door of Best Buy, we went home, me and my wife, we hooked it up, set it up, played with Wii Sports, played with a couple of these games real quick, and then at 9 o'clock when GameStop opened, I was there, boom, to pick up Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Alright, those are the 3 games that I got on launch day. And I'm aiming for the same thing with the Wii U. I'm thinking at least 2, maybe 3 launch games on day 1. So let me just go through them, man. Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam. This game, to this day, I haven't played it in a while. I might actually play it after I do this video. This game has so many tracks and variations of the tracks. Let's say this is just an estimate, but let's say there's about 20 tracks in the game. The different variations of these tracks makes it feel like there's 80 tracks. Okay, because you can have the same track in the first couple rounds where it's easy and it's a certain length and it's got certain jumps and whatnot. Then it gets intermediate and they get longer and more turns and more shortcuts, and then longer and longer, and it just gets crazy. Many different modes. You got the straight up downhill racing. You got the slalom when you have to go through the certain gates. You got trick attacks. You got I forgot the name of it, but there's a mode where you're racing, and let's say there's 8 people racing. Each time you reach a certain checkpoint in the lap or in the track, the person who's in last place gets eliminated, and so on and so on until there's just 2 left, and then it's whoever wins. It's very exciting, very fun, very fast paced, very nice graphics, especially for a launch day title. Clean, colorful, smooth. The frame rate I never saw it really dip. It was consistent and smooth. The controls were really well done because you had the Wii remote controller, no nunchuck, turned on its side like an old school NES controller. And you had your buttons and your D-pad there, and if you wanted to turn left and right, it was motion based. Or you wanted to do backflips, you would whip it back, or whip it forward, or do tricks or spins or whatever. It was really well done, and it's very easy pick up and go. Very, very good game, man. Me and my wife played that non-stop. She loved it. She had her own profile where she actually got further than me. That very rarely happens, but it did on that game. So that's Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam, man. Very well done. Then Marvel Ultimate Alliance. This game was very fun. It was especially if you were a comic book fan. Right out the gates, you can make they gave you, I think it was like 12 to 15 Marvel characters right off the bat to build your 4-man team with. And it's the same engine as X-Men Legends. You walk through the levels with your squad of 4. You can control any one of them at any given time, switching on and off between them, building up their powers, their costumes, and all that, and working together as a team against all the different villains. Dr. Doom, I think, is the main guy in this game, if I'm not mistaken. I played it with my wife somewhat, but it was really more me. She wasn't really all that into it. But it was it showed me things that the Wii was going to do that were innovative. Like, you play with a remote and nunchuck, and you could do the powers, the different powers of your characters with the motions or with buttons, however you wanted. But you wanted to turn the camera, because it's an overhead perspective. You wanted to turn the camera left or right, you just rotated the nunchuck left or right like that, and it moved. And little things like that showed me, wow, the system is going to really be revolutionary as far as the way we interact with games. So that's what it did. I enjoy it to this day. I go back and I play it every once in a while. I'm loving it, man. And then, Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. Came out on the GameCube and the Wii. This game was epic. It was a lot bigger, and I'm going to say it, and a lot harder than Skyward Sword. Not better, but bigger and more challenging. Beautiful art style, amazing graphics, just an epically sized game for a system like the Wii that was so underpowered compared to PS3 or 360. It was a very big game. The worlds were very big and expansive and interactive, and it was just Legend of Zelda, man. It was beautiful. And even though they were kind of tacked on by today's standards, this is a launch game. This is first generation Wii game. Being able to swing your sword with the Wii nunchuck and bring out your shield, with the Wii remote and bring out your shield with the nunchuck, and aim the bow and arrow and the hook shot and all that with the controller was revolutionary. And it was amazing, and it immersed you in the game in a way that had never been done, man. So these 3 games were the games that I got on launch day for the Wii when it first released. Other games that were available that I rented or ended up getting days later: Madden NFL 07. First time you had ever played a Madden game with motion controls where you actually threw the football, snapped the ball with the nunchuck, stiff arm with the Wii remote. It was very, very fun. What other games? Far Cry Vengeance. A lot of bad reviews. Like I said, if you see my review of the game, I didn't think it was all that bad. I thought it was actually pretty good, especially for a first generation Wii first-person shooter. Showed us what it was like to use the Wii remote in a shooting game, which was great. What else came out around the launch window? You had SSX Blur. I have that there. SSX Blur, snowboarding game, like SSX Tricky, all those series. Blur was a version that was exclusive to the Wii. Very nice art style, kind of comic graphic novel type, 3D type of art style. Super fast, amazing trick system. Great soundtrack, and just carving in and out of the slopes with the Wii nunchuck, left and right like that, cutting in to create your turns and get sharper turns and sharper angles was just, it felt like second nature. It was amazing. We also had Excite Truck, which was blazing speed and very well done. I have the sequel to that, Excite Bots Trick Racing, but there were so many games, man, available on launch day for the Wii that it was a really strong outing. Launch day, boom, you had so many things to pick from, so many different choices. And so that's my reminiscence, or my reminiscence, I should say, of the Wii's launch. In honor of the Wii U getting ready to launch, I wanted to go back and revisit that. I remember sitting out there for 2.5 days on the coldest weekend of the year that year in a tent with 30 or 40 other tents and hundreds of people in line, and all of us rejoicing when we were finally let in and walked out with that box with the Wii in it. So I can't wait to receive my Wii U. I'm getting it through the mail, but it'll be the same feeling for me when I open it up and there's my new console and I plug it in. I will be like a little kid on Christmas all over again. So yeah, man, that's the video, man. I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, the 3 launch titles I had on when the Wii launched: Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam. Yo, God bless y'all. Stay gaming. And yo, the Wii U is coming, baby. Get ready. God bless y'all.